were trying to remay off this lettuce so grasshoppers couldn't get in. It blew away at one point, but folded up such that all these grasshoppers got trapped in there and then baked in the remay. We're like, these are good to go for eating, putting right in the blender.
This is Serious Grower Podcast. I'm Anna. I'm an entomologist. I'm a scientist. I'm using this podcast to talk to all kinds of growers and eaters who are serious about their farms, their gardens, their local food systems. And I am asking, how can science help? Today's co-host is Casey. She's an experienced market farmer, and she's growing out in Montana's Bitterroot Valley. Her and her husband, Jesse, are transitioning from market farming into non-commercial farming. They are homesteaders now. You'll be hearing plenty from her because her experience brings so many unique perspectives and because she's my best friend. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I wanted to stay in bed past my usual time.
What time is school time?
School, like the first bell is 8:15. I mean, it's not that early, really, but anywho, I'm having my second cup of coffee, feeling pretty good. It's windy.
Well, speaking of being school-aged, I met a friend of mine for lunch the other day. There's an Indian restaurant in town, and it's in an old Pizza Hut.
Well, I love that.
And she's not from here, and I was kind of saying, I think the last time I was in here, I was getting my book it reward.
I had a class once. I don't know if it was like urban planning, something like that, but it was like, what do you do with a Pizza Hut when it goes out of business? It's like a very distinctive building. What could you possibly do with it after it's a Pizza Hut? That's the big news. I guess Pizza Hut is going to be closing a bunch of locations like all over the country. In our valley, ours will still be going. We'll go there every once in a while. We're like the only ones in there. It looks still like it looked in the 90s. It's right across from Kmart. The Kmart did finally close. We had one of the last Kmarts in the country. So I figure we might have one of the last Pizza Huts in the country too. Then hopefully if it closes, then we'll get an Indian restaurant. This is what we've always wanted in our valley.
I don't know, because this Pizza Hut has not been a Pizza Hut for longer than I can remember. I got my book it reward and they closed, and it's been a bunch of other.
Yeah, and we still were getting book it, for our kid up until like second grade, and he'd get his book it coupon. We could actually call the Pizza Hut, order it ahead of time, our personal pan pizza with the book it coupon. They'd have it ready at the drive-through, their drive-through at this Pizza Hut. It's like they've modernized a little bit, but yeah, no one's ever inside. I guess everyone only just does drive-through now. Anyway, what do you do with the old Pizza Hut? Hopefully we'll get an Indian restaurant one of these days.
I mean, it was really good, but there's nobody there. I don't know if it's because it's in a cursed Pizza Hut or because like people just don't go out to eat anymore.
Yeah, that's true. It's way more expensive than just cooking for yourself.
Or I feel like people do takeout, like they take it home.
Well, that's true. And then food delivery services and everything. When we were just in LA, they even had food delivery autonomous robots.
Did you
on the streets? Yeah, I forget the name of this one, but it was little like box on wheels that would come down the sidewalk, navigated by LiDAR or something. I don't know how it exactly works, but we kept watching them. It was so bizarre just to see these boxes on wheels going down the sidewalk. At one point, we saw one had stopped right in the middle of this huge puddle, and that was like the delivery location. And then so we saw the guy trying to get the food, but he didn't want to walk into the puddle. And so we see him messing with his phone. Well, we just thought it was so bizarre and novel. It's the future. We went from wanting to go to Pizza Hut to just like having food in a box on the sidewalk coming to us. So weird.
It was so much fun going to Pizza Hut. I also remember like a really big deal is they had these puppets, these Land Before Time puppets.
I remember that too. I think they had like cups and everything too. I think I had some of those. Love Land Before Time. Well, I was just thinking recently about a future of food. The future of the food industry will be food grown in vats. It's going to be so much more economical. Possible meat or whatever it's called. It's just like fungus grown in a vat, right? Is that what it is? But they're...
I think you're mixing up two different technologies. So like Impossible Meat is just like a really fancy veggie burger with like really fancy marketing.
Right.
And then there's like meat that's grown in a lab. And then there's something else I think you're talking about, which is like a fungus.
Yeah, I think that one is the fungus. And it's like, well, it reminds you of Soylent Green, kind of.
Except if you remember, plot twist, Soylent Green was made of people.
It was. We found that out in the end. I think I fell asleep for the end. So I'm like, Soylent Green could be the future. I still think that. Well, then there was a year here on the farm. We're like, okay, we're on the cutting edge of foods. What is going to be like the best, most nutritious food for the value, for the cheapest amount of money? And then where everyone is like, well, of course it's grasshoppers, right? We do have a friend down in Idaho, just across the border, that she does have this. I don't know if she markets them as spice blends, but it's like mixed in with grasshopper powder, like protein powder. But she'll get the grasshoppers from, I think, Vietnam or something like that. How sustainable is that? All the way across the world. We're like, we have grasshoppers here. We can make grasshopper powder.
Spice blend was a really interesting choice because other people who have made like cricket flour, they're usually incorporating it into like a protein drink mix or a protein bar or something where you can mask the flavor of the crickets. It's like a really good source of proteins. I don't really think of spice blends as being where you get your protein. Right?
Yeah, because you don't usually use that much spice, like
Yeah.
in a spice blend. She was also a raft guide, one of these raft guide companies that does the whole smorgasbord for you. So she'd have the little spice blends out, for each meal that you could just sprinkle on top. What I remember about eating the grasshopper spice blends was that, oh gosh, it's so dry. It makes you want to it's just almost too dry to even swallow. But yeah, so I think protein shake, grasshopper protein shake, and that's also the way of things. It's like all these superfood smoothies you're supposed to drink. It has all your like spinach and whatever powder, and you don't actually really have to taste it. You just can bypass your tongue completely by like drinking out of a straw or something.
Like the actual Soylent product that I don't think was made of people. It was probably made of pea protein. Do you know what I'm talking?
Was there actually a product called Soylent?
Yeah. And it
Wow,
was
after the movie?
well, yeah.
Maybe they fell asleep too and they didn't see the end.
Chances are pretty good they never saw it because it was younger, like computerman. You should ask Jesse about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jesse does. He drinks I forget the product name, but it's like the spinach, nutrient smoothie powder every morning.
Yeah, but I think it's important to his culture.
It is. It's kind of like a tech sort of culture because first time we ever saw it, it was like ads on social media and stuff like that.
It's for people who like they're too busy to think about food because they're like hacking into the mainframe. I don't really.
Yeah, they might as well have a hat with like the two can holders with the straw while they're coding so they can use both of their hands to keep coding. They don't even need to use their hands to eat. It's just straw fed, right? Past their tongue. They don't even need to taste it.
Right. Yeah, they just have to have their assistant like change out the Soylent in their beer helmet.
It's like have a nurse come in, change your IV, but it's actually like your grasshopper protein smoothie hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the grasshopper thing, it would have been like if we had actually become grasshopper ranchers, like a twofold thing because we would be taking these grasshoppers out of the environment of our lettuce who are gnawing on our lettuce because that's the whole reason we were trying to remake off this lettuce so grasshoppers couldn't get in. It blew away at one point, but folded up such that all these grasshoppers got trapped in there and then baked in the remake and dried out. And I don't know what temperature they actually got up to, but they were dried by the time we got there. We're like, these are good to go for eating, putting right in the blender.
No, but Casey, I really think with like a few like safety checks, I think that would be the way I'd want to do it because that's how they make raisins is outside. They're not using energy to dry grapes down to raisins. They're putting them on the ground and letting the sun do it.
I guess sun-dried grasshoppers. It's like a more sustainable grasshopper. So the only thing was the grasshopper legs like needed to be removed because they have those kind of sticky barbs on them you can't swallow. And even like blending them up, those barbs would still just like catch in your throat. You got to de-leg each of these grasshoppers.
I need to do some more homework on this because I wonder if you could have like winnowed them out or if there's like some kind of shaking Because you know, like they have like tables to like shake out gold particles. Like I
Yeah, like a
wonder,
gold pan.
yeah, like but like for grasshopper barbs.
Yeah, there must be a way. We have a friend up the road from here. They're seed farmers, but
Oh, cool.
and I was asking him about, how to collect and gather just like the most efficiently different kinds of seeds. He's like, you can do most seeds with four different things. And it was like a fan, a pillowcase, a baseball bat. And what was the fourth thing? Baseball bat, pillowcase, fan.
And a wholesome spirit.
Yeah. So I bet we could figure out how to deleg these grasshoppers.
I'm excited. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that spice blend that you're talking about, maybe it could be more like hamburger helper situation, but for veggie burgers.
Oh, so it's like you just add water and then fry it up.
Right, but if you think about it, like if you're making a veggie burger, usually like it's too wet. And your grasshopper powder could come with that spice blend and protein
And dry it out.
and dry it out and make it into patties. Maybe that's
Yeah.
perfect. Well, there would be, a lot of rules and regulations that would need to be worked through in order to sell a product that was shelf stable and safe, yada yada.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the new frontier when there's not any rules. It's like, let's go into this game, make a ton of money before any rules are established. I feel like that's how cannabis was for a long time. It was like the Wild West, but now there's a ton of rules. Well, I was also thinking about like other insects that could be such a pest, but actually, if you use them the right way, it's actually very beneficial. I was thinking about this with ants.
Mm.
We've had issues in our high tunnel, especially like under black plastic with ants gathering, making their ant hills under the black plastic. You don't know until you go to pull up that black plastic and you're like, just thousands and thousands of ants. And you can see they're like moving their little larva. They're immediately getting to work, like trying to move back underground because they thought they were underground. It was so annoying to see these ants under the black plastic. I was like, I was getting ready to plant here. Now there's a bunch of ants. Well, one year I did just like, I had one more plant and it was right on that ant hill. I was like, I'm doing it. I just stuck it right in there, my start. And it was a tomato and stuck it right in there. I was like, we'll see what happens. It was kind of an experiment. I thought it was going to die. I thought the ants were going to somehow like eat the roots or I don't know what was going to happen, but I'll be danged if it wasn't the most beautiful, like healthiest tomato, so green, like nitrogen rich, just tons of fertilizer in that ant hill after all. I don't know exactly the mechanism that made it so that it was the best tomato ever.
It was better than the tomato plants next to it.
It was better than every tomato ever that I ever had. So if I could just like purposely form these ant colonies and then stick my start right into there, because it also loosened up the soil. And I guess I don't really know what ants are actually doing down there. They're decomposing things. Is that what's happening?
Well, it's really hard to answer that question. Well, a couple different reasons because like there's so many different ants out there and strangely, and I don't know if this is a point of embarrassment, I don't know a lot about ants to the point where like ant people are almost separate and aside from other entomologists.
It's like a whole branch of entomology. What is the ant like scientific name?
It's myrmecology.
Myrmecology. See, I'm interested if I could use myrmecology to my advantage.
Well, I daren't suggest you get involved with the ant forums because you will encounter a level of enthusiasm you have never met before.
I just don't know much about it. So I'm like, why do people actually have ant colonies? Is it for their own amusement or is it actually serve a purpose?
Mostly as pets, to the point where there's actually a little bit of an issue from like a biosecurity point of view. There's a bunch of like black market sellers of ants that sell people ant species from abroad, and they really shouldn't be because they're a huge ecological risk. Like if they get loose, they could upset our native ants. But people who love ants and want ant colonies, like they don't really think about it. The people who protect us from biological risks coming across the border, it's not really something that's on their radar because it's so rare. That's how I got involved with it a little bit because some of my colleagues in APHIS, are you familiar with APHIS?
Yes, Animal Plant Health Inspection Service.
The people I know are kind of the folks who provide training to the people who work in ports. So the people who work in ports, they have some expertise on being able to identify different plant diseases, different insects, but they don't have particular expertise. So I know like the people who are like the expert in this one group and they'll provide training to those people. And I just happened to share an office with a guy who was working on this ant problem.
So you
I
just
asked him,
overheard all these like ant gossip just by being
yeah.
neighbors with this ant researcher.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's like black market stuff. I think the people who are importing the exotic ants, they know that they're breaking the laws. The people who are buying them probably don't.
That's interesting. I had no idea people are importing exotic ants just for
I mean,
like their own
smuggling.
personal smuggling foreign ants into the country just for ant farms. Are they like better viewing than our native ants in an ant colony? Or
I mean, like, why do people smuggle drugs into the country? Like, they're worth something. Like, people buy them.
now that makes me think, if you like maybe these exotic ants, what if they hold the cure for cancer?
What if they hold the cure for cancer?
I don't know. See, this is why all life is so important because you just never know. Just keep it
Yeah,
into
you
the
never
future.
know. You never
You
know.
just never know.
I don't know enough about it to speak to it. Part of the reason it's a whole world that I don't know a lot about and it's like kind of hard to delve into is that ants, like honeybees, have a really interesting social caste system that's really unique. People who work in like human psychology or human evolution, like human behavioral evolution, that look at ants as a model. So, who's the most famous entomologist? If you asked an entomologist, they would probably like name one or two different people, but like E.O. Wilson is probably the most famous entomologist like in popular culture, and that's because he talked about human sexuality.
Yeah, I've read, I can't remember what books by E.O. Wilson. I guess I didn't realize that was his field.
Yeah.
E.O., I'm assuming it's a man, but
Yes.
E.O.
He studied ants. I have a collaborator who I've been working with for a couple of years who's a chemist, and he's research faculty at Cornell. So, like, we know a few of the same people. And he was saying, oh, yeah, like my wife is an entomologist. And I was like, oh, cool, like neat, like you're a part of the family. I didn't know who his wife was. He goes, no, you probably know who she is. She's a really famous entomologist. She's really famous. Like, he pulled up her Wikipedia page. And I was like, oh, good for you. Like, big upping your wife. Like, that's really cool. Then I
Uh-huh.
come to find out she was E.O. Wilson's last student. Like, she's like a ridiculously famous entomologist, but I didn't know who it was.
Whoa. It's like Freud and then Jung.
Yeah, he was like married to Young in this case. And I was like, oh, cool, neat, good for you. It's so cool that you're proud of your wife. Like,
She's really famous. That's funny. You don't think of like entomologists as being famous.
no, no, you don't.
It's an underappreciated, under the radar sort of profession that all of agriculture hinges on.
Right. The most famous entomologist I like ever saw in real life that I got kind of starstruck by, I once saw Justin Schmidt at the airport.
I don't know.
He developed the Schmidt Sting Pain Index. It was
Oh,
developed
I
by
have heard of this. Okay. I didn't know it
um,
was a Schmidt index.
yeah,
Well, that's the Schmidt.
he has passed away by non-ant related means, but it was developed to rank the intensity of Hymenopteran stings, often described with vivid poetic descriptions. And actually, there's like this color coded thing. Can you see?
Whoa. Yeah. Uh
Where like he ranks not only the severity, but like kind of like describes it like wine a little bit.
huh. It's like the mouthfeel of the stinging sensation.
Yeah. I saw him at the airport once and I got a little starstruck and I didn't even go and talk to him, but I did turn to the stranger next to me and say, oh my God, guess who that is? And you could
What did the
imagine.
stranger say? They pretended like you didn't talk to him or
Yeah.
what?
They were like, cool, cool, nice.
Cool, nice. I'm pulling out my phone now. Oh, I'm putting in my earbuds now. That's pretty interesting. Well, I have, sometimes in these incidences, like in my garden, and I don't realize I'm standing right there on a bunch of
Right.
ants, and all of a sudden, they'll crawl up your leg, and there'll be like hundreds of them on you before they decide all at once to start stinging or biting, I guess is what they're doing. They have some sort of like telekinesis to know. It seems like, I don't know what it is, but it's probably some sort of chemical signaling. It's like, let's get all over her before she even knows, and then all sting all at once or bite all at once. It's
They're
pretty amazing.
do that. Like they do kind of work together and they do have alarm pheromones. He was studying hymenopterans, which is a much larger group.
Okay.
Mhm.
Does that include the ants?
Yes, ants are
Okay.
of hymenopterans.
Okay. And Hymenoptera, wait, what it means separated
Joined wing.
optera. Oh, it joined.
I can't believe you remember that. That was such an unimportant point. Oh,
Well,
you're a good friend.
I just, well, I tried to remember. I said the wrong thing though, exactly opposite of what it was.
Maybe.
It's a separated optera. No, it's joined wing.
Well, what optera is Greek for wing.
Cool name for a baby girl.
Patera. Actually, Casey, this comes full circle because I, as an adult, put 2 and 2 together that all the characters from Land Before Time were named after their biological names. Like Petrie was a pterodactyl.
No way.
Yeah. And
I didn't know
Sarah, triceratops.
Triceratops. Oh my gosh, this is mind blowing.
I just
Oh.
learned this myself.
Yeah, something about like 1980s era cartoons and movies like really prepped us for the scientific field in our adulthood. I know. And, I used to love Captain Planet.
He's our hero.
He's our hero. Kids these days have no idea.
Well, we grew up in a very unique time. The United States had no enemies. Like, we didn't have to worry about the communists anymore. Like, my sister grew up being afraid of the communists. My first political memory was the Berlin Wall coming down. And then, like, this was pre 9/11, pre, like, Kuwait, everything. The only enemy we had in the United States was pollution.
Yeah. And that's the era of cartoons we grew up with.
It was a golden era.
I wonder, will there be environmentalists in the future if they didn't watch environmental themed cartoons?
Like, what do you think from what your son is watching? Like,
Right now, he's really into Fortnite. He was really into Minecraft. It makes me think we're gonna, in the future, like have buildings that are big, blocky looking things. That's all I think.
but I'm sure that kind of thing, like, teaches a generation of people to, like, work on big projects together.
Gosh, I'm lost when it comes to modern gaming. It's just not my thing, but I'm happy for him for it. His recent thing, and he's really into it, and I wish I knew how to do it, is Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. Anytime I say Dungeons and Dragons, he'll be like, "Mom, it's just D&D."
I'm trying to remember her name, but there was a lady we worked with at the Smart Road who her and her boyfriend were really into D&D, and I did not know what it was. The only thing I knew about it was something she did with her boyfriend, and he was the dungeon master. And so I was like, I can't believe she's talking about her sex life at work. I was like, my boyfriend's the dungeon master, and he told me what to do with my rapier. And she would like go on, and I'd be like, oh my
Ooh.
God, I can't believe she's talking about that here.
Wow. It's like everything is code
I
for,
know.
for sex.
That's what I thought. I mean, that's all I knew. I didn't know that it was a thing.
I know, it sounds so much like BDSM.
Right?
Not that I know any of what these acronyms mean.
I was also really obsessed with women who just like loved their boyfriends. Like there was a girl I went to grad school with who had a boyfriend who was like in a metal band. He had a really interesting look to him. Once you got to know him, you're like, oh my God, this man is an amazing man. But he was crazy looking, right? But she loved him so much. She was like, I would fight any woman who looks at him. And I was like, I don't think that they're trying to steal him from you. I think they're probably like
wondering what's going on over there.
right.
I was just watching last night the Hunger Games Ballad of Songbird and Snakes movie that came out. At one point they're in District 12, which is like the coal mining sort of West Virginia of the district. There's a jug band up there on stage playing, right? And it's like, very country, like Dolly Parton-esque. Then all of a sudden there's this like commotion in the crowd. It's a guy with an accordion trying to get up there on stage, right? And we're like, oh my gosh. And people are like kicking at him. There's like, no, you don't get to come up on stage. He's like, don't you miss me in the band? And then it started this whole big fight. He never got back up on stage with the accordion. But
Oh, did that come to mind because you were thinking about the men in my life?
A little bit. I was thinking about Heart. Yeah. About because he played accordion in that punk band.
Right. And we had one house rule that he broke almost every night. And it was no accordion after midnight.
And he did it anyway. Well, it's just, I love the story about him like wailing away on the accordion up there on stage with this punk band, but he didn't have it mic'd and he couldn't hear a thing. Just his face, like, funk face, like going to town on the accordion, but could not hear a thing.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have as much admiration for him as that lady we worked with that did D&D with her boyfriend.
Yeah, that's why you're so obsessed with like women who love their boyfriends so much. It's like, what? I hate mine. I always play an accordion after midnight.
Yeah, boyfriends, am I right? So I did some homework, and it seems like there are several issues that would need to be worked out. Something I hadn't thought about was the potential for allergic reactions. Folks with shellfish or crustacean allergies are at high risk of reacting to cricket flour due to shared proteins like tropomyosin and arginine kinase. Apparently, cricket tropomyosin is highly stable during gastrointestinal digestion, which may increase its potential to cause severe allergic reactions compared to other proteins. In terms of food safety, it sounds like thermal processing through blanching, roasting, or drying at 80 to 120 degrees Celsius significantly reduces total bacteria counts that any insect might carry. Common pathogens like salmonella and listeria are typically absent in commercially produced cricket flour, so anything you see on the shelf should be safe. Mycotoxins that can be found in grain-based feeds, insects often metabolize or degrade them naturally, resulting in negligible levels in the final flour. Some research notes that certain heat-resistant spore-forming bacteria can survive standard drying, emphasizing the need for strictly controlled good manufacturing practices. Something that might explain why Casey's friend was obtaining insects from an international supplier that were probably reared just like any old livestock, even in areas of the world where insects are a common part of the diet. It sounds like wild harvested insects are just not used. It's kind of like just as common as wild harvested game meat in our food culture. There's just too many unknowns about heavy metals that can bioaccumulate in these insects or internal parasites they could have been exposed to. Casey has already identified a major problem with her grasshoppers. They have these large backward pointing spines on their legs that can cause bowel obstructions caused by those chitinous legs of the grasshoppers. Commercial products usually remove those legs or mill the insect into a fine powder to avoid this. Actually, looking at how they do it, it's not all that different than what we were thinking about doing with our baseball bat or shaking tables and things like that. It's likely that the species of grasshoppers that she accidentally collected were completely safe, but there's at least 400 species of grasshoppers in North America, in Montana, and some of those species feed on toxic plants like locoweed or a lupine, and they can sequester toxins from those plants, which would make them poisonous to humans. So with all these unknowns, to sell a food product in the U.S., you have to follow the FDA's good manufacturing practices. Part of that, source verification. The FDA requires that food comes from an approved source because there's no standard certification for wild-caught grasshoppers. You would likely have to prove through pretty rigorous, really expensive lab testing that every batch is free of toxins and pathogens. Under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, you are responsible for ensuring that a product is wholesome. If a customer has a reaction to a pesticide residue, for example, in your wild grasshoppers, you're also legally liable. Just looking at Montana state law, the Montana Department of Agriculture regulates produce and pesticide compliance. They may classify wild harvesting as a processed food activity, requiring you to operate out of a licensed commercial kitchen or facility. So you can see how these things would really add up. Well, I guess I will leave it there. Maybe Casey's hopes and dreams of becoming a grasshopper rancher, they may be dashed at this point unless we get a big investor. I also have to issue a formal apology to Casey for not immediately clocking when she said that's the Schmidt when we were talking about Justin Schmidt. I'm sorry, Casey. But find photos of the Schmidt Index and some of the things that we were talking about on our Instagram at Serious Grower. Serious Grower Podcast is a production of New Hampshire Community Supported Research. If you are interested in becoming a co-host or would like to learn more about our mission to democratize agricultural research, visit our website at nhcsr.org or come over to our YouTube channel at NHCSR, where we are sharing insights from the agricultural research community, and we will be vlogging about our research efforts on the farm. You can support this work by liking and subscribing, or even better, consider joining our Patreon community.